My friend used to be really into his South African accents, or what he thought was a South African accent, but all it was just quotes from District 9.
Grant,
have you seen District 9?
Have
you ever seen District 9,
Grant? Have you seen District 9? Grams! Oh, that's my favourite Matt joke.
Grams, come over here and look at the prawns.
Oh, that's right, I'm alone.
Grams.
I'm alone.
Is it out of your system now?
I forgot I was incredibly divorced.
I've made a car looks like a Lego brick.
Ella, I sent a car into space and then my wife left me.
Okay, we should probably do a clap sync because otherwise this is going to be hell. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on, sorry. I'll count.
But now there's going to be 2.
On 4.
There's going to be so many.
It's fine.
It's about the claps you don't. It's jazz. It's about the claps you don't clap.
Okay.
Podcast.
Right, ready? 1,
it's about the things
2,
you don't talk
3.
about. They're all out of time anyway. It doesn't matter.
That sounded close. That sounded better than they normally are.
It's close enough,
It gives Dan something to go on.
Does it?
Yeah. It's easier than just not. I used to do it by the names that we said at the beginning, and that'd be
That's how I do it now. We used to do syncing, but it was pointless.
I mean, if there is only 2 of you, that's not as...
I did a Christmas episode of Mixtaping Identity where one of the guests that we all had to clap one after each other, and then was shouting at all of us for doing it wrong, and our friend Duncan, who's like an obsessive audio nerd, was getting like legitimately angry as the podcast was starting, and he just was like, "Lady, you don't get the clap. You're not clapping. The rest of us are gonna clap. We're just gonna figure out where you go." The angriest I've ever seen him at someone being stupid.
Well, why would you all clap at different times? That doesn't make any sense.
That's
like but some fucked people do it that way, right?
Yeah.
I've been on podcasts where they're like, we'll count to 10 one after the other, and somehow that's going to help us sync up. How? Cunt?
No.
How?
I remember that being like one of those weird team building tasks you had to do at school. 2.
No. Hello,
no.
Grants, it's a movie podcast, Grants.
I understand.
No.
Will the films hold up with this to love them in childhood, Grants?
Welcome to Hey, I Love District 9. We ask people if they love District 9.
We're doing everyone's favourite movie.
Welcome to the power of one, Grants. I'm going to piss on a boy.
That's definitely
they pissed on the bully. The bully pissed on the little boy.
I'm going to piss on the boy, Grants.
It's a very powerful film.
We'll talk about that one next time.
Anyway, Matt, you do the intro.
All right.
Okay.
Hello, and welcome to Hey, I Love That movie podcast where we watch films we loved as children and see whether they hold up. I'm Matt.
Yes,
and I'm Mack.
So close.
And today we've
I'm
got
so
3
close.
fantastic guests.
And I'm Dan.
It's Dan Faulkner, Helena Kirk, and Dear Mike. I'm using Discord names because I don't know the last ones.
I was going to say, you don't know my real name. You did it wrong as well.
That's
Mike
close
A.
It was pretty close.
It was pretty close. You did, to be fair.
Anyway, we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 theme song.
I really thought I might put the effort in and learn the rap at the end and just do it.
Oh God, why?
Yeah.
I started to and I was like, this isn't worth the joke.
I know this is a thing everyone talks about films from their childhood when they've got a sequel, but I really spent a good portion of this film being like, when's the bit the Vanilla Ice is in it? And then he wasn't in it, and I was really upset because then I was like, oh, it's okay, there's still a rap over the credits, maybe this will be Vanilla Ice. And I was like, this is literally like someone's
Vanilla Ice is the real secret of the ooze.
Is Vanilla Ice in the sequel?
Yeah, Vanilla Ice. Oh. Vanilla Ice's most famous song, Ninja Rap, is in the sequel.
The only thing people know Vanilla Ice for.
Yeah, that and the time he did a new metal cover of Ice Ice Baby in the 2000s for some reason.
I don't know what that song is.
No, sorry. It was in a very niche film.
I don't know what that genre is.
Whose film is this? For?
Whose fault is this?
I want to explain Because this isn't
I was going to say,
actually
I
my
assume
fault.
it's Max because it's basically
Yeah.
Power Rangers. If
But-
everything
but
about it
what?
was worse and it was also stupid.
No, Matt, you
other
didn't
Power
watch the Powers film. I know you haven't seen them, and this isn't good.
I-
But this is still better than
Yeah,
the Power
I
better
was
Rangers.
than
gonna say, like, the bar for Power Rangers is pretty fucking low, but this one, this one's fine in comparison. Coherent.
I would like to
just
explain.
about.
I'd like to explain the choice of this film. Right, I really, really liked the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the third one as a child. But it's set in feudal Japan, and I was like, "There's no way that's going to be okay. There's no way that film's
there were
going to
only
be.
two.
There's no exactly that.
If you look
There's
up Voice Master Splinter, Mac, you'll realise that this one also is not okay.
I agree,
yeah.
Matt, but the difference is that everyone could watch that with the veil of ignorance. But the third one is so on the nose racist that I found it difficult to suggest it. And then about 10 minutes into this film, I thought, not a lot better. Racist to a different group of people.
We were watching and, or I was watching and Erica was working on her laptop just on the couch and looked up after a moment and went, the same guy who voiced Master Splinter voices Elmo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure does.
Yeah.
He's got range.
Yeah,
Is Elmo
absolutely.
Japanese?
Oh, famously.
Yeah. I mean, I was impressed by how good Splinter and the Turtles looked, and then at the end it's like the Jim Henson Company, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they were.
Understandable.
They look-
Henson
He looks
Company.
like
They
a big
look
version of
foul.
that fucker from Labyrinth. Who's the little dog cunt in Labyrinth? I can't remember.
Dog cunt, I believe, isn't it?
But he looked like a big version of that. Splinter did. I was like, yeah.
I love
fair.
how grotty Splinter looks.
They all
Splinter.
look-
Especially when
I
he's
was
been
gonna
beaten up.
Splinter. The whole film looked disgusting.
I genuinely didn't think
Yeah,
I could be
the-
more unsettled by a character in this
Any-
movie when I saw the Turtles and Splinter. And then I saw baby Turtles and baby Splinter, and I was like, kill
Oh, yeah,
it!
they were
Kill
awful.
it with fire!
There's a point I was watching this where I was like, this is kind of yucky, but in a kind of cool 90s way. And then they started walking through the wet sewers, and I was like, can you imagine walking through a wet sewer wearing that big fucking foam turtle suit? Can you imagine a worse feeling in your world than feeling
that'd be
the
awful.
damp foam against your bare feet, between your toes, the fucking dirty water slipping between them, and then having to turn around and see three fucking giant turtles and a
Three other
rat talking to you, and the mum from Halloween Town.
Yeah.
How did the turtles work in this, like animatronically? Because
No, they're
Jim was
just
like,
people.
yeah, no, there's people in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, they just
it's
do.
a-
Yeah, there's
faces.
people in there, but I think there's animatronics moving the lips.
The
Yeah.
You can
faces,
So
tell
how do
because
the lips move?
the faces are remote control.
yeah,
Yeah.
they look it. They look
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, that's cool. I mean, that's terrible and didn't work very well,
It's-
but it's a cool concept.
It was like
It works well for a
it
1990s
was
film.
the first thing. Like I think Jim Henson, the Henson Company, were like, "This is the most advanced thing we've ever made." At
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah.
at the time, they've definitely made better. But yeah, I think it also like kind of mimicked other people's like an engineer could put a mask on, and it'd like vaguely mimic their face movements.
Mm.
Vaguely.
Oh, right, okay.
I
That's
think
crazy.
that
They
was,
would have
like, the
motion
big
cap.
thing.
They would have mocap.
Because
Live
Like
action.
really
Okay.
early.
these are
Like,
fucking
really
ugly.
It was Andy
turtles.
Serkis inside every turtle.
They look like
Horrifying.
gone off baked potatoes.
They looked awful.
Yeah.
And then they,
Hold
what could
on.
they do to make them worse? Put them in a hat and a trench coat?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
everyone,
Now they look
Oh
like
yeah,
a
that's the
paedophilic,
worst.
like
Yeah.
flasher kind
A
of
guy in a-
baked potato.
guy in a hat's not
Yeah.
automatically a paedophile. What the fuck kind of what law is that? That guy's wearing a hat. He's probably fucking.
You can wear a hat. No, Mac. You can wear a hat or a trench coat. If you wear both,
It was
paedophile.
nonce.
Paedophile or flasher, but I think if you got flashed and it was actually a giant turtle, that'd be much more disturbing.
Well,
No,
turtles
I don't
can't
think
take
it would.
Well, you
no.
say that, but everyone in the 90s is clearly so scared of being called a nerd that no one's wearing their glasses because they're not subtle. These they're fucking enormous green turtles, and everyone's like, and right up until they are inches away from their faces, it's just like, oh, just a dude.
They learn how
then
to
they're
be
like,
ninjas.
What the fuck?
The one skill of the ninja is being in shadow. They learn
He's
how to do
playing. He's playing baseball with one of them.
Yeah, but that guy's clearly a stoner, and he's clearly fucked. He's clearly fucked in there.
He had like 11 concussions.
Yeah. He literally carries around every bit of sports equipment possible. There's no way that guy's normal.
Just to have a fight. He's up for a fight.
Is that because he's been left out a lot, and it's like, oh, you can't play because we've not got another bat? And he's like, well, I can, guys, actually, because I brought my own. And they're like, oh, fuck.
Does make sense why
we're not playing baseball. We're playing cricket. And they're
beating the shit out of everyone.
No worries.
He's beating the shit out of everyone because all the nerds have gone off to be cool teenagers in the warehouse where they can smoke cigars.
So this film is about an evil group called the Foot manipulating homeless teenagers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think they're all homeless. I think it's just a place for teenagers to go and be cool, rad teenagers.
Yeah, they're just manipulating the youth of today.
And they will never be as radical.
Led by Sam Rockwell.
For the Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles are the most
I went to a similar group in like 2000
run by
8, 9 called Artwise.
Huh. Oh yeah.
It was a Christian group.
Did they make you steal shit?
No.
Did they let you smoke a stogie?
Did they let you beat up a rat they tied up?
We mostly just like rocked out in the hall and played like covers of Blink-182 songs. It was
If I was in
a time.
If I was in a gang, number one, it's a very confusing gang to be part of, and they brought in like a human-sized rat, and they were like, "We're just going to tie it up and get information out of it." I'd be like, "I'm going to call a scientist or someone to."
Would you know though? Do you think that the kids knew about the rat?
Isn't the rat like right fucking there?
Well, no, the ninjas knew. It seems to me that there was a clear distinction between the ninjas and just the kids like nicking handbags.
Well, it was kids, wasn't it? Like, but then the ninjas.
Yeah,
some of the kids could become
the kids
ninjas.
are like the training ground.
Yeah.
But then I don't feel like you get access to like you don't get rat clearance until
level.
You don't get rat clearance until you've got the weird
because
right?
Gets the rat clearance.
No, but he sneaks around the corner, looks at the rat, and then they find him and they're like, "What are you doing here?" And his headband's on the ground, and they're like, "Oh, that's no good, mate. You didn't even get your bug mask yet. And you're putting your headband on the ground. Come on."
But then they don't do anything to him. They just let him go.
It's a very nice youth organisation, Matt. They can't just be hitting kids.
That's true. It's just a nice youth group.
Retroactively as well, when you see the scene where the teenagers are being promoted to full-on ninjas, you're like, wow, all those fight scenes I've watched before of the Turtles beating the absolute shit out of these people. They're just beating up teenagers.
But the Turtles are 15, so it's okay. They're also children.
Yeah, they're also...
The Turtles have a very skewed idea of moral justice, I feel like, because they're quite happy to kick the shit out of street
It's almost like their entire morality is shaped on a rat.
Well, no, but then they see Casey Jones doing the same shit, and they're like, no, you're not allowed. Only turtles are allowed to dispense street justice.
Too much.
It's like,
you're doing too much.
It's actually not okay to hit kids with a bat. I've got a sword.
I've got a blunt sword.
Yeah. I've got a foam
fucking
side.
Crazy that
I'm teaching these kids to be beaten up by a big turtle.
It is nuts to me that they're like, one of the guys has 2 swords and everyone else more or less just has sticks.
Well, size are like little daggers.
No, yes,
that's what Raphael has.
Sizable daggers.
But like, even the size he has, at no point does he just use them to block attacks and kicks people. Donatello has a stick.
He never.
Michelangelo has sticks on chains, and then the other guy has 2 swords. It's not like even like he's got one sword. Just give someone else a sword, Leonardo.
But nunchucks are fucking deadly. Nunchucks are real fucking deadly. And I'd argue...
Well, that speaks... the most surprising thing about this film to me was it was made by Golden Harvest.
Just...
The fucking Bruce Lee guys.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's why they did the cool nunchuck scene.
That's, I guess, why they did the nunchucks, yeah.
Can I ask, does everyone know the weird, like, implied canon of the Ninja Turtles is never, like... It is like more or less canon, but like they can't say it because it's a Marvel thing.
Like the Daredevil thing? Yeah.
Oh, it's the same
It's a parody.
Yeah, the ooze that makes Daredevil blind goes into the sewers and makes
the same ooze that makes...
But then Daredevil's enemy is called the Hand and their enemy is called the Foot. Haha, very funny.
The Foot. I love the scene where the rat Splinter is explaining where he found the turtles. He's like, and I found 4 I found a glass cage and 4 turtles, and I'm not explaining any more of where the turtles came from.
And then it's like, and they were walking around in this green
some
goo, and you
goo.
just see like the fucking most neon green shit I've ever seen, with just some turtles wandering around in it.
And they started growing, and it's just like they just started partying in the goo.
I'm assuming that radiation also affected Splinter, and that's what made him into a human rat, even though he'd fucking learned ninjutsu from being a regular rat before.
Ninjutsu before by watching his master learn.
That's
ninjutsu.
why I'm really careful about what I
That's
do
it.
in front of my rats. You
they
don't know what they're picking up.
Yeah.
No,
You need to
exactly.
teach
They're
them
going to
ninjutsu,
start
right?
their little podcast about being rats and
You
talking
need to-
about the movies they loved as young rats.
You need to learn ninjutsu because someone will come after you, and they will have to avenge you. So
If the rats are
Better
learning
start teaching
ninjutsu off of me,
there's no hope. There's no hope.
The thing I found most confusing about or most surprising, since Matt said his, was that there was an early implication that all the Ninja Turtles had learned their accents from different parts of New York, and the Raphael had a really strong Bronx accent, and then everyone else more or less sounded the same.
Yeah,
Like the other,
I
the
didn't
other
think they
three
had
were
different
just like
accents at all.
American, and then Raphael's like, "Hey, I'm turtling over here. I'm angry."
Thick accent. Yeah, it's great. Like, this film makes no sense when you pay any attention to it.
well, the whole concept of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles makes no sense. It's not starting from a particularly firm beginning.
No, that's true. But they also, like, they didn't take any particular canon from, like, the animated series or anything else. They were just like, we throw it together and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
That's
I
the
mean,
whole...
it was pretty fun, if I'm honest. Like,
It's a fun
I didn't
film.
mind like watching this under the guise of, well, this was made in the 90s to be a kids movie about Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is exactly like if I was a kid and into Ninja Turtles, I would have loved this film. But this was the first time I ever watched this.
Yeah, I'd never seen this before.
I think that is the problem with it, is that if you've got nostalgia, then sure.
Yeah.
But watching it from like a perspective of first time watch as an adult in 2024.
True.
I am.
Yeah, you definitely pick up on the major racism.
I don't really.
Yeah.
I don't really.
We should talk about
I don't really remember
the overt racism.
the first one at all, but I definitely had a lot of nostalgia for the second and third one. I think it got me through because I still broadly enjoyed this yesterday. It's a bit of fun, and it's like very silly, right? And it's the kind of thing where I think if you're
Yes.
watching it, just being like, "This is a good narrative," it's not that. It's just kind of like you
It's
you
a
almost
dumb film.
have to watch it under the guise of like, well, I know I'm gonna watch something shit, but I can enjoy it for it being shit. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did. To be fair, I didn't go into this with high hopes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
didn't-
what it was. Maybe it was the cover of the cover. Maybe it was several other
The
factors.
memes where you can see the human eyes in their mouths and that kind of thing.
I don't know,
Yeah.
because I feel like the sentiment towards this movie is, broadly speaking, pretty positive, right? People are like, this is one of the good ones.
Yeah.
This is like
Yeah.
one of the ones that people look back on and they're like, yeah, no, this is sick. This holds up. And I'm here to tell you, kids, fucking doesn't.
It holds up
No.
apart from the way it looks, sounds, and the material.
Yeah.
It holds up more than
And the
some of the
content.
films that we've seen. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I mean, going into it with the guise of, oh, this is just going to be a fun 90s kids movie. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
It
I
Had
think
its
it was.
problems, but
Yeah, shall we tackle the racism in the room?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Dan, we've been meaning to talk to you about it.
look, I'm not a fan of turtles. Okay. I'm
It's
not
fine,
the
that's
kid
fine, man.
from
You
that
just can't
video
keep doing the
with
accent.
the skeleton face.
If there's anyone in this podcast should be a fan of turtles, Dan, it should be you. And quite frankly, it's fucked that you're not.
No. Because they eat fish.
Yeah, no, I like turtles. I was just doing.
They eat fish and he's not happy about
But
it.
Dan eats
no,
fish.
So do fish.
Yeah, Dan does eat fish.
I'm not a turtle.
These turtles don't eat
Well,
fish.
I
They
mean-
clearly only eat pizza.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
true.
more like
They
these
go-
turtles than I guess.
They clearly only eat Pizza Hut pizza.
But the one thing that was quite,
Domino's
I
pizza.
did
Domino's,
love the subtle Domino's branding that was slipped in.
Subtle Dominoes, all
Also,
the
what did
the
they-
Burger
the
King
fuck
Whoppers
thing-
they have.
The most fucked thing about the pizza is that he has to turn it sideways
to get it.
to slip it down the grate. That pizza's fucked.
No, that's why you have
you
the little
can't
plastic table.
preserve-
That plastic
They
table's not
live in
going to
the
save
sewer.
it going upside down.
There's
Dan.
no way
That's
of
not-
preserving the structural integrity of the pizza
Yeah,
They
it's
live in
just
the
a
sewer, they-
wrinkled,
while sliding it
mess
down a
at the
sewer
bottom.
grate.
Yeah.
They live in the sewer. They do not care.
I guess it's that
yeah.
good 90s
They're
real
toast.
crispy, thick dough.
Well, no,
that
because then
holds-
they open the pizza up, and the pizza's perfect, and he throws a slice, and it goes on everyone, and one goes on Splinter's
'Cause
head.
it's
I mean, I won't lie, the
sponsored by
pizza in this
Domino's.
looked better than actual Domino's pizza these days.
Domino's Pizza.
Oh, fucking got him.
I
Got
honestly,
Watch out, Domino's. Hey, I love that movie. It's coming for you.
There's another
Pizza in
sponsor out the
England's kind
window.
of shit.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
pizza in England.
Dan can't be stopped. He speaks truth to power.
The more important question is, where do they get their money from? If we're getting that nitty gritty about it, how are they paying
I assume
for
they
the
rob
pizza?
street tough.
Yeah, but it's
right?
one of those things.
They
Like,
beat
you
up
know,
the
when the
street
police
toughs.
arrest you and in America and they seize your money, they just have that money now.
Oh, so they're just
doing the
doing
same.
so. Police brutality is what the
I mean, I wouldn't be
Well,
surprised.
no, they're specifically not the police.
no, but
So they're doing they're doing
they're
regular
just
brutality.
doing brutality. They're just mugging.
They can't be.
people.
They can't be arrested.
Yeah,
as
but they're
not
mugging
blokes.
criminals, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's like who guards the guards, who mugs the muggers, and the answer is
Well,
tough.
you see, the thing is, every
Is-
time they beat someone up and they are caught, the police are like, "Well, these aren't men," and they're like, "Well, I guess we gotta let these giant turtles go because they're just turtles. We can't
We
arrest
don't
them."
have
animals.
handcuffs big enough for these guys.
None of our cells are wet enough for these ones.
I have terrible news, Mr. President. The White House has been broken into by 4 large turtles. I guess we can't do anything about it. Let them have it.
We can't arrest them because we can't get their arms to go along their back because the shells are in the
They-
way.
Yeah,
Yeah. We-
no handcuffs
Well,
big
they-
enough for the turtles.
They'd be able to now because it's all zip ties. They just have a long chain of zip ties behind them.
That's true.
Yeah, I can get them now. But do you call animal control as a police officer in that situation? Do you call animal control? Be like, there's just some 4 fucking massive turtles kicking.
I know
people's
we're-
asses.
They're all wearing little eye
All wearing
covers.
eye masks,
And one's got
you
a
wouldn't
sword.
recognise them.
So loosely, the plot
I-
is that there's this huge rise in crime.
Yeah,
from
'cause of the kids
like
stealing
it's
shit.
teenagers, but they're also kind of ninja crime, maybe.
Yeah.
And a bunch of
Yeah.
people are.
Well, that's what April O'Neil's saying, right? April O'Neil's like, I've been talking to the community.
I've been talking
and
to
they say it's ninjas.
Japanese
and the police
people.
chief's like, don't be stupid. Of course, it's not ninjas. Are you an idiot?
No, her,
She's like, when are you
her
dedicating a
inter-
task force to investigating these ninjas?
Yeah, when are you going to make the ninja task force? And he's like, never. You're
Her-
done. Go away. April
You're a
O'Neil.
bad reporter and an even worse journalist.
Her bit where she's like, I've been interviewing the Japanese community. I've been speaking to some Japanese guys.
Have you heard of confirmation
like-
bias?
Yeah, they were like, there was a crime group in Japan called The Foot, and we think they're here now. So I understand why no one believes this woman.
My favourite bit of this film, and unfortunately this film for me peaked quite early, is right at the start when a woman's on her balcony and her TV is stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty
Ah,
bad.
It's nonsense.
brilliant, because she literally looks into, like, someone knocks on a door or something, she looks inside her house, and then her TV is just gone, and this kid's, like,
Yeah.
legging it. But of course it's the 90s, so it's a massive CRT.
Huge. Those are so
It's
heavy.
very good.
That's where all the ninja training comes
Well,
in.
yeah,
just
you've got to be
carrying
strong.
CRTV.
Like, technology back
TVs
then
up
was
to
large.
Yeah.
You needed 3, sometimes 4 teens to steal a TV back.
Yeah, it's the good old days of,
Depends
like,
on the
car
size of the
stereos
screen.
being worth something, and, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And stealing a bunch of DVD players with the Fast and the Furious gang.
They just like.
But
just
yeah,
have
I
their
mean,
stealing shit.
April is then just even more racist when she's like, she misses the train and she's the only one, and suddenly loads of ninjas shows up, and she's like, "Am I behind on my Sony payments again?" And I was like,
That was such a weird line.
There's
Who's
a
paying?
little weird line.
Who in 1990 is paying Sony monthly payments? What is
Maybe she
going
was
on?
Bought
renting a
really
TV,
big
'cause that was a
TV.
thing.
Yeah.
Was that a
Yeah.
thing?
My grandparents
Wonder.
still, like, rented a TV well into the 2000s.
Wow,
What a
that's crazy.
fuck.
What,
thing
what
to
happens
do.
if you stop paying? Do they summon
what I
someone
was
round?
gonna
Yeah,
say,
they'll come and get it, I assume.
yeah.
Oh, I guess a group of
Clearly, if
ninjas
we're
turn
using
up.
this movie as knowledge, they send a bunch of ninjas
Yeah.
around.
I,
to beat
it's
you
coming
up.
round again in the form of, like, Bright House and everything, and all those sort of really horrible things. But it
Yeah,
used to be,
yeah.
like, people couldn't
Yeah.
afford a TV because TVs used to be
So you
really
rent one.
expensive. in comparison to like
Yeah.
wages and disposable income, and so they rent it instead.
I guess you
And
did.
then-
So
Well, now we know.
Life's
So
crazy.
no one's got any problem with that line
Yeah.
anymore. Then I assume.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
no,
it's not
still
racist now.
It's still racist.
Now we know that it's legit.
Nah, her tone was racist.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sees that they're ninjas and is immediately goes to racism.
Yeah. She didn't even see. She saw some guys in some masks and went, "Those are ninjas."
They
Let's
look
be
like
racist."
fucking like
So how would here's a
Spider-Man
question
eyes
then
as well.
for all of you: if you were on a New York subway and you turned around and were suddenly confronted by 15 ninjas, how would you do like a sick slam on them
I
without
wouldn't.
doing?
Where's
without
the
being
nerd
racist?
convention? Nerds.
Nah, I'm not. I'm not talking down to no ninjas. They're ninjas.
You've
Okay.
got it. You're a sassy street journalist.
I would say to
Mike.
them, has your boss has sent you for me? And then before they could say anything, I jump in front of the next train.
I'm ending
I would
with
if I
fucking
saw my
show.
peripheral vision, I would take my my wallet out of my pocket, right, throw the wallet down, keep the cash if I had any, put it in my pocket, and go. So you finally come for me, and then before they could say anything, I would just walk straight from the next train. Just like flop in front of it, dying.
Just really traumatized.
I think if I was
that
in that exact situation, I'd turn and say, "Yeah, next one should be here in about 5 minutes."
You know what? I've just thought there was.
I guess this group of people
Yeah.
also missed the train from some sort of convention.
Do you know what I genuinely would do in that situation if I was brave enough? Is the thing I did in Manchester once before I lived in England, which was I hadn't paid for a train ticket and I tried to pretend I could only speak Gaelic to get out of it, even though I know only 3 Gaelic sentences. And I like the idea of the ninjas being like, Mr. McKeown, you've been talking about us on the news. And obviously at that point I know they've already seen me on the news, but I still try and go, Shimpan. And I'm like, Mr. McKeown, we know you can speak English. I'm like, no. I just commit to it the entire time.
I think wait, I have two things I do. Number one, I go, that would be it. And number two, I turn around and do that weird like purse lips nod thing where you just like, hey, just go back to
Just like scroll on your phone, pretend you're not looking at them.
I'd sit down on one
I
of the
just, like,
cold benches and put my rucksack
kind of
next to me so that no one can sit on that bench with me.
I'd go to the other end of the track. Just quietly go to the other end and sit down and like put headphones
I
in.
once got started on
Yeah.
at a train station.
Wow.
But yeah, not by a group of ninjas, but by like some real gobby little shit kids.
Did you?
Oh.
Did
Oh,
you,
so they weren't ninjas yet.
Yeah, they were
No,
up and
yeah, they were
coming.
still in
yeah.
training.
Ninja.
Did you make a weird racist?
They were
comment
still
that way?
being trained by Sam Rockwell.
They're still just smoking big cigars and skating on what looked like the most unsafe ramp in the world.
Do you think that was a real cigar? That
I
kid was
reckon- I
smoking?
reckon-
How
Full on
nice.
cigarettes.
It was a
too.
Cumberland sausage with a smoke machine behind it.
It was pure asbestos.
nom, nom.
that they
It's like, oh, this
supplied
is
it. It was
the
Oh,
healthier.
delicious full English breakfast he was saying between kids.
He kept eating them though, so they had to use actual cigars on like the third take.
Anyway, Helena, did you get beaten up by children?
I didn't get beaten up.
Did
But
you say
so they
a weirdly
the
racist
kids like, were
comment?
like they started. No, I didn't say anything racist either.
Just my
Wasted
son eats
opportunity.
peanuts, and they were like, what?
They were like, what?
Look, it's Kent. Everyone was white.
What does that mean? What do you mean Sony paid us? Like, well, in the 90s you used to have to rent a TV.
Yeah, and when they
Have
were
not seen
confused, I
Teenage
punched
Mutant
them.
Ninja Turtles.
When they
No,
were
they started
confused,
like
you
giving me
jumped
a
in front
lot
of
of
the train.
shit, like these two, like 2 or 3 kids, and he basically I said, look, piss off or I will hit you. And then he like walked towards me, so I shoved him backwards, not like onto the tracks
Oh,
or anything.
started a
No
fight.
attempted murder here.
Just pushed
And,
him onto the tracks like,
Just
what?
child abuse.
Yeah, you fucking. And this is in Kent, where it's still live third
Some
rail,
kids
so
do.
you know.
It's fine.
No, yeah, he like was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get my sister, and he was like, oh yeah, and they're like, oh no, his sister's gonna fuck you up for touching it, and his sister like comes, sees me, apologizes for her brother's shitty behavior, and like drags him to the other end of the station.
Good
I
sister.
really have
Felt-
a real love for stories where children make fun of you as an adult because you can't really do anything most of the time. But I think it's really funny.
I was a child as well. I wasn't. I was only like.
I told Matt the story before, but I came out of the cinema crying before, and a little kid just pointed at me and said, "That pussy's crying." And I didn't know what to do. I was like, "Yeah, fair enough." I was like,
"What did you go and see?"
I went to watch the Tom Hanks vehicle, A Man Called Otto, and it's not that sad, but a person that has a disease that affects someone in my family, and I really didn't think I cared at all. And then afterwards, I was on the phone to my partner, and I was like, I have to hang up. I think I'm getting emotionally affected by this film. And she was like, all right, well, just call me when you get home. And I was like, I think I'm fine. I just think I really think of what was going on. Then I got a phone and I just wiped a tear from my eye. And I genuinely was fine. But the second I did it, kid came out of the chicken shop with a little paper bag. I was like, ah, pussy's crying. And I was like, well, that's my day ruined. Off I go home.
Oh, that's so...
And that's my entire letterbox review for that film.
Was the child on his own?
Yeah, he's with two of his friends who were also children of my dad.
He was just on his own coming out of the chicken
I love
shop.
the amount of dysfunction as well that's implied by a conversation with your partner going, hey, I'm sorry, I think I'm having an emotion. I'm going to have to call you back.
It was
I'll not be having this
I
in
knew
front
it was
of you.
emotional, but it was more just like I didn't think it had... Like, because the film's not good enough to affect me emotionally, right? But I think it was just as I was talking, I was like, oh, he died from something that, like... thingy like a certain person has, and then I think the more and more that I was talking about logically, I was like, hey, I gotta go just a second because I'm in public and this is making me upset. And then I hadn't started crying yet, but obviously it's not like a single, like my eyes were misty, and I wiped a tear away just as soon as it happened. Like that boy and two of his mates appeared and just immediately pointed at me, and I was like, well, I'm going home to lock myself in a dark room and not talk to anyone forever.
Part of me's like, oh, those poor kids are gonna need so much therapy when they're older.
No, they thought it was funny. They were laughing at me.
Yeah, what happens when they have emotions?
Oh, that'll be fine. I'll mock them.
As soon as they start having an emotion, Mack
fair,
comes out of the chicken shop and says, oi,
Yeah.
that pussy's crying.
By the sounds of it, they can't be much less adjusted than having to call a partner and be like, I think I'm going to cry.
I think maybe they're two opposite ends of the spectrum there.
It's not really, though, because
Spectrum
as
being
Matt,
the word.
Matt knows well, I cry all the fucking time. So if anything, it was more just me shocked that it was happening at such an inopportune time rather than I'm crying as a shock.
So really, these boys' comments were inevitable.
Yeah. Saying, as Matt well knows, does sort of imply that I make you cry.
So there's a reason we haven't recorded for 3 weeks. There's like 5 hours of audio footage of just me crying and him being like, stop it now.
Stop crying, you pussy.
Yeah. So, man.
So they kidnapped Splinter anyway.
This film's a mess. We're not even going through the story because the story doesn't make any sense. The whole thing is audio replaced. Nothing was recorded for this film. Not a single sentence was actually recorded on set.
I think the Turtles all have different voice actors to the people in the suits, but also the people in the suits would probably just be like...
It would just be the sounds of, like, motors whirring whenever they talk. But it's important is when they're not in the scene, it's still audio replaced. It's still ADR.
One of the Turtles is Corey Feldman. Who's like...
Yeah.
That's
which
true.
Is crazy.
And very odd.
Because the rest of the voice actors don't seem to be particularly famous.
No. Well, he got his own, like...
credit.
Line-spaced credit, right? Where all the other Turtles just got voices of the Turtles and then Corey Feldman down the bottom. As Donatello? Mark?
Which again is crazy because he's not either of the main two. He's the two that are just fucking about the whole time.
He does flirt with mask hockey guy, though.
He does also at one point say bossa nova, which I think might be one of the greatest phrases ever uttered in a film.
Masked hockey guy also does just like the weirdest, incredibly homophobic.
Yeah.
That was a very odd scene.
You're
not even joke.
You're claustrophobic. Hey, what do you mean? I've never even looked at another guy.
Never.
And then, literally in the film, there's like a beat of silence as if everyone in the film's like, "What the fuck, Casey?" Come on.
Yeah, he's like, "I'll put my fist in your mouth." I've never even looked at another guy. Like, that's an odd way to say things.
I think that beat is them anticipating wild laughter. In the cinema, right? They're like, people are going to fucking pop for this. This is the funniest joke in the movie.
He delivers it so aggressively, though. Like
he's so like, he's like, I will break your face
You fucking
for implying that I might be gay.
imply that I might like men. How fucking dare you? If it was delivered like a bit light-hearted, I could see it being a joke, but it's such a harsh delivery.
What the fuck did
You're
you say?
claustrophobic.
What the fuck did you say, Donatello?
The fuck did you
Stupid
say?
fucking shell cunt.
Fucking
I've never looked at a man.
I'll fucking tear you out of that shell and put you in the
I'll
back of the
fucking hollow you out, you cunt.
I'm thinking of making
Talk
soup.
to me like that.
I'm thinking of making a good turtle soup.
Yeah.
Get the fuck over here.
I'm gonna fucking live
I'm
in
gonna
that
go
shell.
Charles Darwin on your fucking ass.
And then like everyone else comes in and he just starts patting the back, like, we're just having a nice talk, right, Donatello? Tell him. Tell him we're just having a nice talk. Donatello's, yeah, everything's fine.
See,
And then Michael
Raphael's
Adams,
size using it as a can opener.
Michael Adams was like, look at this pussy crying.
a ginger,
He's got some chicken.
a ginger child comes out of a chicken shop. Like, look at that pussy cry. Oh man, yeah, it's so. He's also fucking packing, that guy, the hockey guy. Like later on in the series, he's got a bulge, and I couldn't help but notice.
I didn't know.
Fucking later in the
Yeah.
film, fucking man, it's
because Mikey's claustrophobic.
Yeah.
it's
You're what?
really
Claustrophobic. You're sympathizing for the dick.
Yeah.
You're like, oh god, it must be so dark and crowded in there.
It was a very particular.
That must feel so
It was a
bad.
very particular costume choice. and yeah, someone must have noticed on set.
Right, if we're not going through the film in like a line, but
Wait a
I would like to discuss a Casey Jones thing I think is very funny about this
Yeah.
film. Obviously, at the start, they establish that he attacks people with like sports equipment as weapons, right?
Yeah.
And then just in the middle of like the big fight scene in the middle, he's just running away from everyone until he finds a golf club, and he's like, "Oh, now I can fight." And I was like,
Well, no, he's not
No,
running
yeah,
away.
he's-
He's getting the
yeah,
shit kicked
that's
out
what, he's
of
just
him.
not involved at all.
He can't fight until he finds some sports
And it's
equipment.
just so funny, like him looking down, be like, "Oh, a golf club," and I'm like, "There's so many weapons. You're in a ninja lair. Like you could
Yeah.
look anywhere and find a weapon." But he's like, "Oh, golf club. Oh, now
but to
I'm
be
back
fair-
in business."
To be fair, when he hits him with a golf club, he fucking knocks him like 50 feet back.
That would kill him.
Yeah. He killed a guy.
Like that golf club would not have sent him into the air. It would have torn his fucking jaw off.
Just suddenly, this film becomes really brutal and gory.
Just really brutal. Just really brutal Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It suddenly becomes the corridor fight from Old Boy.
Yeah.
Casey Jones just murders 20 teams with a fucking
It
golf
would be
club.
so funny for there to be a scene where it's like, you know, like a quick montage of all the turtles using their weapons, and it's like Mikey like nunchucking someone in the stomach and they fall down with a big comedy sound effect. Donatello
I
spins his-
genuinely think this is my fix for this movie.
Mhm.
Because I really like, I think a lot of like the aesthetic was very grimy and cool. And the turtles looked awful, but they looked awful in kind of an interesting way.
Yeah.
I think genuinely all you need to do to make this a fucking like insane movie
Yeah.
is R-rated.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Well, that's exactly what I was gonna say. If you just
Let the turtles say fuck
yeah.
and just absolutely murder some cunts.
Exactly. Instead of saying like rad and dude, and the amount of times they call April a babe as well.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, no,
very
well,
odd. Did
I
not
was gonna
like-
say if
didn't
you make
like
it if
that.
you make it R-rated, they might say worse things. So maybe just there's a line.
Yeah.
Maybe we just make it more R-rated than the things they do, not the things they say, because they
Yeah,
are
just
still
violent.
I, know,
Major
I
turtles.
also I want them to keep saying rad and cowabunga
Bo-
and tubular,
Bossa Nova.
but also
But also say
yeah,
fuck.
but also say cunt.
This is
And
this
be
is
like tubular, like
this is gonna be a
Mike, like you know, he's removing his nunchuck from like the eye socket of a teen, being like radical.
that was a Bossa Nova way you cut that guy's dick off, Leonardo.
Exactly.
But that's just gonna. I think it would be such a funny scene to have that, where it's like a little montage of everyone just getting hit with like the blunt weapons, and then you have
Yeah.
Leonardo just fucking cut someone's head in half, like straight down like a watermelon.
Just full on
Yeah.
like Bill Nye in Underworld.
Yeah, but it's like that happens, and then like Raphael and Donatello are just like silent, and Mikey's just vomiting in the corner, and Leonardo's trying goes, "They're gonna kill our dad," and he's like, "Okay, sorry, Leonardo," and he's like, "We're gonna kill them all. We're gonna fucking kill them all."
Yeah, Splinter's there chained up, and he's like, my boys are going to come and they're going to fucking destroy you.
Splinter's just laughing, being like, "You don't understand what you've done, mate. They're fucking teenagers with weapons that have never spoke to a girl. If you're fighting 4 incels, you're gonna fucking die, man.
4 highly trained incels.
Those boys have never left their bedroom. They eat pizza and they've got a ninja sword. You're gonna fucking die, man.
And
You step into a school, they'll be there with a gun.
Don't worry.
I taught these turtles 400 ways to kill a man. You know what I didn't teach them? Restraint. They just come through the fucking wall.
No,
you know
they've
what?
never had a wank. You understand that? Not once. They don't even understand the concept
I
of
don't
it.
think they can.
They can't reach because of the shell.
Yeah.
And also, they live in the
sewer.
sewer. They can do anything to you. They don't feel
One
disgust.
of them wears a trench coat by choice.
Yeah, and a hat.
Yeah, I really
And
like the
another-
idea of Splinter just really like, you do not know what you're about, Dudley.
You have made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's
thought me
John
scratching
Wick.
your
It's
face
John
is
John
a
Wick,
turtle.
but the turtles. yeah.
John Wick,
See-
but incel teenagers is such a funny idea for a film. You took our rat. We're gonna fucking kill thousands of people to get that rat back.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
The
fuck, it would be so good, man.
the antique store fight would be very different if it was just a lot more violent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I mean,
a
that guy
lot
gets
cooler.
fully electrocuted anyway.
It does. People do die in that scene.
Yeah.
They're like, like these. I've raised these kids in the. We're from the sewers. Like any cut you get, you're gonna get an infection. Like
Infection City.
we might
got a
not kill
tetanus
you,
jab,
man,
bitch.
but the
You
sepsis
not
will get
believe the
you.
amount of shit on my boys.
You ever see a thing where at the end we're like Shredder like being like, oh, those fools, I got away. And he looks down, he's got like a little cut in his hand, and he's like, oh, I'm sure that's fine. Then it just cuts to like 6 months later, it's
me,
him
though.
in hospital fucking swollen up. Just green skin.
That is the bit. That's the R-rated bit
Yeah.
of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is where Splinter goes, "You're gonna die without honor," tosses him off a fucking roof, and then Casey Jones crushes him with a fucking dumpster,
Oh, yeah.
like a garbage truck.
That
I
man
forgot
has,
about that bit.
Casey Jones has 1 confirmed kill, and it's in the worst way possible.
I just say, I don't think it kills him because it's not sports equipment, so I think it probably doesn't do anything.
True. That
I
is
reckon
true.
he's probably fine.
He's just fine. 'Cause
Well,
it wasn't,
what happened is
it was like
he
a
put him in there, that he just
squash
he
racket.
gently placed a basketball on top of him and then started crushing it, and the basketball killed him.
The only way he knew.
Yeah.
During the whole fight in the antique store as well, there's bits where they're just like saying random shit for the moves they're doing, like Wheel of Fortune and California Roll, and then I'm pretty sure one of them just calls someone a spaz.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's
Yeah, they use that
Oh yeah,
word
that
twice
yeah.
in the film.
That
They
happens
drop
a
the
few
odd like
times.
aged poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think spaz has never been an offensive word in the US.
No.
Like, it's only recently offensive over there. It's
Recently offensive is a great term.
Yeah.
Hey, like, man, I know you didn't know, but it's actually recently become very offensive. So if you could just go
Well, there's like a whole, I think, Weird Al song where it's based around that word, and it's fine in America, and then loads of people are like, that's really not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a British slur.
Yeah.
It's very
It's-
unique, a uniquely us slur.
Yeah.
That's our word.
What's one we can really be proud of?
We have a couple of weird words that don't travel well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really was upset about the Antiques fight, that there wasn't more like using
Antiques?
comedy items for fights.
Yeah.
Do you mean
Yeah.
there's not enough like jamming someone's head in the grandfather clock?
There's not enough business.
Not enough like someone.
It was
There
good
should
when
be
he,
a bit
like-
where someone gets knocked into a pillar and they look up and there's a vase going whoop 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 whoop, and then they go
Yeah.
no 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 no, and then smashes on them. Obviously, like it should be that. It's the
Yeah.
90s and a children's film. It's not
Like
enough
her
of that.
trying to save it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone
And
comes
it's-
and saves it, and then the pillar falls over anyway and top of them. That's the joke.
Yeah, there should be one where like somebody gets like their face smashed into a grandfather clock a few times, and then like the cuckoo
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
out and
yeah.
hits them in the
Perfect,
forehead, and
perfect.
that's the thing that knocks them out.
Yeah.
It was good when they did the piano bit, though. That was good.
Just should be more of that. You know, you just but a
Just more
prop
of it is
fighting
what
is
we
what I
needed.
want.
Yeah.
It felt like such a small place for that many people to be fighting in terms of like an
Also,
action
yes.
sequence. It was so chaotic because there were just so many people there.
There was a funny bit like
Well, that was. I think I do like that bit where they're on the
yeah, I
roof.
was about to say that.
Yeah.
And Raphael's like,
Far too many people.
just kicking the shit out of him. He's like, "How do you think you're ever gonna beat me?" And then just like 40 more guys arrive, and he's like, "Yeah, that'll
Yeah,
probably
it's
do it."
it's so funny. Like, he just completely addresses it. Like, yeah, that's a good plan. I think
That'll
it's so
work.
funny.
That'll
Of being
do
like,
it.
Like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to win this fight. Which also leads me on to genuinely my favorite bit of the film, which is Raphael gets the fucking shit kicked out of him. And they take him to the farm. They take him to the farm, and then there's a bit where Leonardo's sitting. It's like Leonardo has kept a constant vigil with Raphael since he's been hurt. And then the camera pans around, and they've just fucking dumped him in the bath, and he's like one leg out, one arm out, face down in the bath. I was like, these are like your whole thing is
very
legitimately
like
medical
reminiscent
care.
of like someone at a like house party
Yeah.
has passed out, and his mates have just been like, well, it's on his face, so he's fine.
The only medical care we see him being given is April O'Neil just like spooning water over his shit.
Yeah, he's a turtle. He just needs hydration.
But it's so crazy that they're just like they're talking about how much honor and stuff they've been taught to fight with, and then they fucking just dump him in a
They just
bath
drop him in
side
the
on,
bathtub, yeah.
and then like Leonardo just sitting on a stool chair, being like, "Oh, I hope he's alright." That's it,
He'll
like,
be
nothing
They
else
clearly
happening.
storyboarded that scene before they realised that the
How big-
animatronic does
yeah.
not fit in the bath.
How big the costume is.
It'd have been so funny to have seen the shot where it's just him lying like back first, where he's not in the bath, and his shell's just over the edges, and his arms are like flopping behind him there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't
really
like-
love Raphael's voice. I think about it so. I was thinking about All Dead
Great.
Day, about how so funny it is. The other three are just really like normal American, and Raphael's like an Irish person doing an American accent, like a
Yeah.
Bronx accent. I'm Raphael. Like it's just like so
Hey,
over the
I'm
top.
a freaking toidle over here.
Leo, you ain't the leader. I'm the leader. It's just like so over the top, like.
Yeah. I don't like how much she becomes like a mum of the group.
Yes.
Well, I think that's
Weird.
better than the
But
other
then also
option.
how horny
Yeah.
they all are for
That's
her.
I mean, I think I
that's what I
prefer her
mean.
being the mum than them continue to be like.
No, but I mean after
Well,
Instead
because they
he goes to
still are,
Casey
but they're like
wanting to
weird.
fuck
They
her.
become weird, like voyeurs by the end.
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, Casey, no, go on, we're gonna watch."
yeah,
Casey's our dad now.
it's
Friendship
got,
with Splinter ended.
it's got a weird energy. This film,
Teenage Mutant cooking turtles.
Yeah.
that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
But then they decide to go back to the sewer. At
Yeah,
which
I
point,
didn't. It was at this point where I was like, "Wow!" I momentarily forgot how fucking grimy this movie is. Because when they're at the farm, it's quite nice and bright. Because it's like
nice and bright.
daytime and there's fields and grass, and then they're like right back to the sewers and the horrible rainy New York.
I think
Did
you also skipped over something important at the farm, Dan. There's also magic at the farm. They also
There
is.
they also
There is ninja
develop
magic.
magical skills at the farm for a brief window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They managed to get the spirit of not actually dead Splinter to come and talk to them.
They fucking
also
force
get,
ghost
they
him.
also have turtle wax.
Yeah, they
They
astral project.
force ghost Splinter, and he's not even dead.
Yeah.
They astral project Splinter.
But it's so
Yeah.
funny that it's just Leonardo at the start just was like, "Oh my god, I've just seen Dad," and then he goes in there and we're just like, "Okay, fair enough," and they all just accept it.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mad that there's just a brief window of magic in this film about mutants.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all based on science until that moment.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, but they go back to the sewer, and did anyone else catch the green card joke?
No.
Anyone else
No.
catch that? When they're all in the truck together, driving there, and as they get out to go in the sewer, one of them's like, "It's nice to, so this is what it feels like to drive around when you don't have a green card."
Oh god.
Nice.
Just quietly in the background, and I was like, that's such an out of place joke.
Yeah.
I guess they really just wanted to get a shot at each and every race.
It's such a strange joke. And it would fully go
Yeah.
over every child's head. Like,
Oh, yeah.
there's no need for it to be there. But then they just go into the
Yeah,
sewer.
this is the point where they get back to the sewers and they're like, "Oh, we should just have a nap before we go." And then there's someone hiding in the cupboard, and
It's
that
the ginger kid that we
from
haven't talked about
April's
Oh, it's
boss.
the nerd kid. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
where
nerd
is
kid with-
Because there's a subplot about April O'Neil's boss, and his son is part of the Foot Clan, and he's trying to. It's unclear. Is he trying to cover it up, and that's why he fires April, or
No,
is
I
like
think-
the police chief going, "Get rid of April O'Neil, or I'm going to put your son
That
in
way.
prison"?
No,
What's the go?
I think
here?
he's just like, I think the police, because she calls the police out on, and is like, the police aren't doing anything. The police is like, get rid of her. Because the
Yeah,
police
that's what I
chief
figured
has
was
too much
happening.
power.
But it's also a very weird.
Well, no, because I
side
feel
story.
like the police chief is threatening him in some way, right? Because he calls him up and he's like, "Hey, Charlie, you got a freaking son called Dan? Well, I've got him in prison, you dickhead."
Yeah. I guess he is at that point, but I don't think he knows about he doesn't know about the stealing.
I think there is probably some aspect of it where he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to protect my kid," but I do think it's just more or less the police chief's just very bluntly being like, "You've got to fire her. She's getting in the way of our." But the point is actually that if it's this unclear after the film that it's poorly made, should be the real answer.
Yeah, well, because otherwise I don't see what the point of the scene is where he finds the Danny file and he's like, oh, and he calls up Charles and he's like, "Listen, you newspaper dork, you got a son? Sure would be a shame if he got arrested for being a Foot Clan."
And his
I mean,
dad
a
would have
lot
been
of
like,
this
"I'm
film
already
doesn't make
disappointed with my son because he's got the worst collection of t-shirts anyone's ever seen. Every t-shirt he has a nameless man on it, and they all look shit. I don't want my son to come home anymore."
A name on the back, so
It's a Sid.
Yeah.
When they're back in the sewer, there was a scene that I did find kind of funny, which is where Danny's like, "Yeah, I've been living down here for a while. I ordered pizza, but it's been a few days and it's just gone moldy," and they just like salute the moldy pizza and give it a little funeral.
Yeah.
This is just so stupid.
They've got to get that Domino's advert in there somewhere.
Yeah, well, I also think it is a stupid bit, and it would be kind of funny, I think, if they did it more of, because it's kind of like more of like a Jim Carrey kind of beat, right? Where if it was happening all the time, it would feel okay, but because it happens like twice, it feels super incongruous, and you're like, this is from a different movie.
There's not enough pizza in this movie to have that.
I do think there's an issue where they clearly established that Donatello and Mike here, like the two weird ones, but you never get enough time with either of them for that to be really an important portion of it. And I guess there's like probably some aspect of like, well, the people who watch the cartoon and stuff, which this is from, will know they're the stupid ones. But at the same time, you're making a film and the people are expecting that, put that in it. Do you mean like just
they really don't do much, do they?
Yeah. How big were the like, not in terms of size, but in terms of popularity? How big were the Turtles in the 90s? Was it like a huge thing?
I think they were pretty big. Yeah.
Or was it like an Iron Man thing where it's like we're rebooting this like IP that nobody really cares about?
I feel I
think a lot of people cared for the Turtles.
Yeah, because the animated shows were super popular, weren't they?
I was going to say, I feel like as a kid, I definitely was very much like a superheroes, Power Rangers, and Ninja Turtles kid, as we've established
Because I really don't remember Turtles being like a huge thing I was a kid. But then I was a kid, I guess, a little bit after this, maybe 96, 97, I would start really remembering like pop culture.
Now I'm starting to wonder, because I do remember Ninja Turtles being a very big thing when I was a kid, but also I think, so my uncle's only like 10 years older than me, and one of my cousins like 5 years older than me, and they were both really into it, so I'm wondering if it's just them.
Because Ninja Turtle, I feel like 80s was prime Ninja Turtle time.
That's what I'm wondering. I wonder if I've just got it from them being really obsessed with it, because I listened to it a lot, or watched it a lot, do you know?
There was a lot of toys, animation, like animated cartoons and video games in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like this, even though this was
hundreds.
1990, it was tail end of the 80s.
So I think that's where a lot of people. So if you had older relatives that would help you get into it, but it wasn't like the new kid on the block of the 90s. It was very much established at that point.
I know it was temporarily banned over here.
Yeah, well, it was Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, right, for a bit.
How lame is that?
Well, it's because like the ninja stuff was too violent, so they were like, it's Hero Turtles.
Yeah.
First it was banned and they were like, it's Hero Turtles, and they were like, you know what, fuck it. You know what? Have your Ninja Turtles.
If the kids want to watch this repugnant sewer-dwelling turtle jump around, that's on them.
Oh, so the TV show only started in 1987, according to this.
Yeah, I'm looking as well.
So it must have just
87 and 96
really
was the first animated series.
Real big really quickly.
Yeah. They released
live
around 400
series?
different
Oh yeah,
figures.
there's loads of live action series, man.
That's fucked up.
There's a live action series where they introduced the first female turtle, and
Venus de Milo.
Very, very poorly received. And then the creator of the Ninja Turtles was like, "We'll never have a female turtle again." And then, like 2 years later, they did.
Mack, have you seen the Turtles guest appearance on Power Rangers in Space?
Yeah, it's very good. It's double episode.
What?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So in fact, this film came out really like halfway through
the height of the Ninja Turtles.
The first animated run.
Yeah, I suppose that explains why it also got like the sequels it did as well.
Yeah.
That's true. And they were like, we can
Yeah.
be more racist. we can be more racist.
God,
we can have Vanilla Ice in this next one. We'll be so much better and more 90s. Yeah.
The second one also, of course, as I'm sure we're all aware, has famous professional wrestler Kevin Nash in it for one scene.
Of course.
Sure, we're all very excited
Yeah,
to see
definitely
Kevin
know
Nash.
that. Definitely, yeah.
Everyone's
The only thing
crying
I
out to
know
see
about
Kevin Nash.
the sequel is it's called The Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
about the guy from Power Rangers, Ivan Ooze.
They should have called it the sequel of the Use.
They should have called
That
the
would've been
sequel
much
of
better.
these. Well, that's what the third one's called.
Turtles in Time, right, is the third one.
Yeah, that's the feudal Japan one.
That's the not okay one.
Oh boy.
Yeah, well,
So-
we won't get
If
into
we if we were all in the Turtles, what role would we all have? I'm imagining I'm Splinter for some reason because I know the most about the Turtles. And
Well,
I think I'm
there's
the
two
head.
obvious ones.
Yeah, mine's pretty.
Well, what are the ones, right? One is cool but rude.
Leonardo's leader with swords. Raphael's cool but rude. Mikey is the party.
Who's the party
Mikey's
dude?
the party dude.
And then Donatello does machines.
Donatello does machines. Correct. Yes.
I don't think any of us fit any of them, if I'm honest.
I think Matt, you do machines a bit.
I don't think I really do machines.
Oh, okay. Well, you are cool but
I
rude.
could be a party. I'm a party dude, maybe.
Yeah. Dan, you're the leader. You do the intro. Maybe you're Leonardo.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I've
think
got-
Dan's Leonardo.
I've got the swords.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Mike
Okay.
and Helena, who out of you is more cool but rude and who does machines?
Well, Mike's called Mike, so he should be Mike Modular.
Yeah. I think I should clearly be Donatello. So
No, Dan, you're the leader. Oh, okay, Helen, you can be Leonardo. You're the leader. You get the sword.
Thank you.
And
I
I'm
did
Dan.
do fencing.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
yeah.
I was terrible, but you know.
Wait, one of us
Whatever.
could also be Casey Jones. Does anyone love sports?
I could be Casey.
It's
Jones.
a
I'm
podcast.
definitely the most sports guy of all of us here.
Mac's a big sports
Yeah,
cunt.
I
Yeah.
fucking love sports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
That's a-
cricket.
No,
Helena's the sporty one out of the three of us on this show.
I fucking hate cricket. And that's why I
You
don't
like-
respect Casey Jones.
do you like sport and are you like aggressively homophobic?
No, I'm the rat. We've established I'm the rat.
That's true.
I'm unnamed Sam Rockwell.
Oh, man. This
Uh,
this whole film, the idea that Splinter learned to fight from watching his master, who was the enemy of the Shredder.
You're the enemy of Shredder.
Yeah,
Because Shredder killed that guy's girlfriend or something.
yeah, it's so dumb.
Well, no, they were enemies before that.
Yeah,
And they were enemies because they were fighting over the girlfriend.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
so
a
and she
wild
chose-
story.
And then
Yoshi.
she chose Yoshi,
Yeah,
and then
Wahoo.
Shredder killed her.
the second that Yoshi was said last night we watched it, my partner also said Wahoo.
and Shredder picked the weirdest outfit you've ever seen. His arm was
Yeah.
covered in blades,
I'd say Shredder's
Head-
helmet.
Kind of a sleigh.
Shredder's helmet, pretty good.
head to
I like
toe
it.
knob knives.
I think
It's a bit cunty. Come
I
on.
think it's pretty good.
It's an incredibly inefficient set of armor.
He is
all I'm
serving.
saying.
He's serving.
He is serving.
No,
serving.
he is serving. That's fair.
Yeah.
would
He's
do
serving cut. See that, everyone?
Oh.
Anyway,
Hello.
I genuinely think Shredder's design is sick as fuck. I think it's so
Yeah.
good. I love the
It
helmet.
I love that spiky. You could have spiky shoulder pads. That's absolutely fine, but don't put a cloak over them.
The
That just
mask-
looks
I-
so
the point.
my
tricky to
favourite
remove.
bit in the movie, genuinely my favourite bit in the movie, maybe the only bit that actually made me laugh, was where you first see Shredder and you get this like genuinely sick shot where you see like the super long shadow and
Yeah.
he's all backlit, and then it's a top down shot of the really long shadow and then him striding out and he stops. And then the henchman comes out and takes maybe upwards of a minute
Yeah.
to just very carefully remove the cloak from all the shoulder spikes and pull it back
Yeah.
off his shoulders.
He doesn't even fully remove the cloak.
No.
He just dropped
No,
it.
They just move it a bit.
He just moves it around a bit. For what?
I like to think what happened there is all the kids are just like, oh, who's this guy? And then he takes the shoulder pads off, like, oh my god, it's Shredder.
It's a Perry the Platypus
Yeah.
moment.
They're just like,
Until you see the shoulder pauldron.
that could just be one of the many other ninja versions of the stormtroopers we have with around here. Oh no, that's Shredder. He's got the big shredding things on.
He's covered in knives.
Yeah.
And he never uses any of them.
He uses a stick with knives on the end. He's literally covered in weapons. And then we get a full body shot of Splinter, and I hated it. The final fight where you get the full body shot of Splinter fighting Shredder. It's awful. I hate looking at Splinter.
Yeah.
Every time he's on in the shot, it's awful.
Oh, the other bit that was good was when, because you get two times where Splinter says his origin story, and I am almost certain they use the same recording of the dialogue just twice.
Yeah.
But the second time, you actually get to see the little fucking Jim Henson awful puppet rat doing learning ninjutsu in his little cage, and I was like, that's good.
It's so cute.
Cute is not the word I would use,
Horrifying.
but it is horrifying and fun.
No, whenever Tiny Rat Splinter runs up and attacks Shredder's face, I fucking pissed myself.
Yeah.
But it just
such good shit.
literally like watching someone do it with like a teddy when they're a child, just like with their hands shaking it side to side, going up his body. I was like, this is the funniest scene ever. For that guy to then have to really seriously act, he's like, oh no, a rat.
When he takes off his mask at the end, and he's got like the shredded face, and you're like, holy shit, the rat is his nemesis, but he didn't know the rat had been oozed.
Yeah.
This guy had spent the last 20 years with a rat nemesis. That he thought was just a normal rat.
There's such a funny bit. There's such a funny bit earlier whenever Tatsu, who's this henchman, and him are talking, and he's like, there's something about the way you describe these turtles that seems familiar. Something. And he just does a big stage production turn to the side and looks off the distance from the past.
I love that.
What is the implication here? Have you fought turtles before?
No, it's the rat.
But at that point I was like, is there actual other turtles he's fought?
I was like, is his back he's so upset because he once lost his rat and group of turtles that he was keeping in a small box.
This man is beefing with a zoo, and I love it so.
We beefed the zoo. We beefed the zoo. Right down.
Yeah. There's something familiar about the way all of these ninjas are coming back with shredded faces. Something from the past.
Yeah, shredded faces and hantavirus.
Yeah.
Something from the past is a perfect line to put in any film where you're trying to set something up but you haven't actually read it yet.
Ben
Affleck sure is a shame that your wife disappeared in this film Gone Girl. It's okay, I'm sure we'll find some clues from her. Some clues from the past. Alright. It's actually a bad example because it's happening in current time.
Yeah.
So Mack, out of 10.
Yeah, if you want to rate it.
10. Watch it every day the rest of my life, no question about it. Not even giving you a funny 10 out of 10 thing. 10 film. Perfect. Nothing better. Should be more shit, but I'm not going to take points off of it.
Should it be more racist?
No, I think it's right on the money.
Okay, good, just checking.
It's the right amount of 90s racism.
I give it...
They had
the quota.
Yeah, I was about to fix it. I was like, I give it 7 turtles out of the 4 turtles. 7 turtles out of 10 turtles that probably exist in the actual extended canon of the turtles. I just was like, this is a real dumb film, but it's so of its time and so 90s that I really do think, and again, this is a huge exception to my rule of I hate films that just have vibes and no plot, but I think the vibes this really got me through it, and I didn't care about the plot, to be honest. It's a very rare circumstance where that happens, because I really hate films that are just like, oh, but the vibe's good. And I'm like, fuck off. But the vibe is good, so fuck in, I say.
And Matt?
Conversely, I love films which get you through basically entirely on vibe.
Yeah.
Did not enjoy this movie. There's some good stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it didn't do enough good stuff to get through the fact that a lot of it is quite boring.
Yeah.
And I think that's the cardinal crime of this. This movie felt 3 hours long to me. And in a movie that's about ninjas fighting giant turtles, there's no excuse for me being bored at any point. And I was for maybe 40% of the runtime. So for that reason, I'm going to give it maybe 5 awful turtle animatronics out of 10.
Yeah, I can't decide how I felt about this film. Like, I think it was okay, but it's like, yeah, it just kind of, it was a vibe, it wasn't a plot. It just kind of happened, and I kind of absorbed it, but it didn't permeate down particularly far. So, like, I don't have, like, a deep-seated loathing for it. Like, it didn't offend. I mean, it probably should have
offended me. A lot of it was quite offensive.
It's not Power Rangers Turbo, like.
But, yeah, I think I want to give it maybe 4 injections you have to have at hospital after fighting a turtle.
Yeah,
it's not quite met me halfway, but I have no nostalgia for the turtles. I've always thought they looked kind of gross, and it didn't like inspire me to want to watch them.
But that being said, though, like I have no nostalgia for the turtles, and I went to watch the new animated one that
was
came
pretty
out
good.
last year, and that was fucking
Yeah,
sick.
that was
that's
well
good. I
made.
saw that's on Prime now. I want to watch that.
That one's actually well.
So you can do it.
You
You
can.
can make me interested in the turtles. This film failed to do so.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, one thing was that I actually thought that that new film quite pleasant to look at, like arty.
Yeah, well, but
good.
it also really grimy,
Yeah.
right? It had that really like New York grime to it, and everybody looked like an awful, awful beast. But it also was like incredible to look at.
It didn't look like anyone
Beautiful.
working on it actually got genuinely sick.
It didn't look like it gave anyone tetanus. Yeah.
I think that like not liking the Ninja Turtles for this film is a massive problem because it's not like it. This film is so weird in the most negative way possible.
Yeah.
It's so like the like intensity of some of the lines and the weird like racist quips throughout. You're like, this feels just weird to watch. I think like 4 horrible rat men costumes out at it makes me so uncomfortable looking at Splinter, especially when he's dying and like captured and he's just got those big eyes that are like kind of puffy.
They're so wet. This film makes me want to have a shower.
Why'd they do that to him? How is he wetter not in the sewers?
They gave him black eyes.
How is he more damp not in the sewers?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's just...
It's no good.
It's awful. And it's like they went, oh, they're in the sewers, we'll make them as rotten as possible.
Do you think it's because they shot it later on and the puppets were literally like moulding and disintegrating in real time?
I think so.
The costumes in the second and third film look not wildly different, but they're definitely not the same costumes. That almost
No, they didn't survive this film.
Yeah.
They got covered in so much grease that they just couldn't do it. Therefore, it's such a weird film.
I quite enjoyed watching this, to be fair. Like, I didn't have a bad time with it. I went in, expecting just a wacky 90s kids film about Ninja Turtles. Like, it could have been much worse, but I think I went in the right frame of mind for watching it. I think I'd give this 6 cigarettes smoked by kids out of 10.
Yeah, that's good.
Not huge cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bratwurst with an end set on fire.
6 kids punching darts in a warehouse.
I've just found out a bit of trivia about this film that might explain why there's lots of boring sections in it.
Yeah.
For Matt, at least. Matt, how did you watch the film? Did you watch it legally?
If there's any cops in the room, yes.
It was on Amazon Prime. I watched it that way.
Okay, so if you watch it in the UK version has edited out like 90% of Mikey's story because they're not meant to show nunchucks on the screen. So even though he mentions it, all the Mikey and Donatello scenes are pretty much replaced with just like B footage.
Wow.
So there's a chance
there
we
was
watched
definitely...
No, not all of them, but just like they had a subplot where Mikey...
There was an extended sequence where Mikey and a ninja
Yeah, they
did
had
like
a nunchuck off.
off.
Yeah, but they don't actually
But there's
fight
like
each other with it, really, do they? Like they just do little
Well,
tricks.
But what happens here, Alan, is you might have watched the one where they don't have the big fight. Is what we're saying. We all might have watched slightly different versions of this film.
There's also a good chance I forgot.
It's also very hard to do pretend nunchuck fights because it's one of those things that you can't like do lightly. You kind of
Well,
to be able to use nunchucks.
I just found an alternatives version file of page in this, and it says there's one version that's like the UK release where they pretty much take all of Mikey and Donatello's scenes out, and then there's like a European release which is still in English, but like Mikey is more or less only in the fight scenes, and or every time he's in a fight scene they try to cover up the fact he's using nunchucks by just placing stuff in front of him.
That's so funny.
That's amazing.
Oh, that is mad.
Release the
Well,
nunchuck.
happy 300th episode.
Oh yeah,
It's not 300s, it's 3 years.
3 years.
Happy 300th anniversary.
300.
300
We've been doing
years.
this for 300 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
300
God.
years of this
Oh,
podcast.
it feels like it.
Yeah.
It's been a lot.
Well,
Happy 3-year anniversary, guys.
Thank you.
yeah. I'm glad that I watched
Who'd
Wanted
have thought
3 years ago.
we'd be here
Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
together at this beautiful time?
Anyway, Matt, can you do
Talking
the
about
outro?
turtles. Well,
No.
Yeah. You've never listened to
yeah,
the
I
end
guess
of the
with
episode
that-
before.
no.
Yeah, he's
With
never
that,
made it
I've-
this far.
Never made it this far.
No, I slowly just tune out.
And then wake
start
up about
listening
half
to
an hour
another podcast in like one ear.
That would have been incredible
Oh,
if you
shit,
used to
you-
start doing an outro for like a
You
different
DJ
podcast.
your podcast.
Yeah. Finds ones with
What,
the
what
same
you do is
tempo.
you wake up as the outro music starts, and you're like, oh. But yeah, with that, I've been Donatello.
I've been Michelangelo.
I've been
Leonardo.
Leonardo.
Oh, I've been Mack AL. You're split. You're the rat now, Matt.
And when you guys aren't being Ninja Turtles, where can people find you?
All right, let's do an alternate word for our plug.
Let's not.
We both do What the Flick, where we look at movie posters and try to figure out what's happened in films we haven't actually seen before, but we've got the general vibe up from looking at the poster. I am also on Twitch a lot at twitch.tv/the Macaroni Prince.
And I am on Twitch less at twitch.tv/Dwayne the Rocks Johnson.
Dwayne.
That's Dwayne with an M.
Dwayne, yeah.
For copyright reasons.
For legal
There's
reasons.
another guy who has a similar name.
Rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is rude.
Yeah, another guy called Dwayne the Rock Johnson _.
Well, you can find this podcast on social media at Hilton Pod. That's at HILTM Pod. We're on Discord as well. Come and tell us which Ninja Turtle you are, or which piece of sports equipment you'd use to beat up a turtle.
Cricket bat.
Or
we also
child.
have a Patreon. Or a child, yeah. If you could beat up a teenager with a cricket bat, how would you do it? We also have a Patreon where you can give us your money legally, I guess, instead of us stealing it from you.
I think
are we
smoking
doing-
cessation for impoverished kids in New York.
We're going to start a gang called The Shin.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Nice.
Mm.
If I get any of your Patreon money, I'm just going to slide it through a grating into a sewer.
I want to actually.
I mean, that's how we get all our Patreon money.
A realistic goal. I want to order a pizza to a sewer grate, and I just want to see what they do.
Yeah.
I just want to
I'm
see
pretty
what
sure.
happens.
Unfortunately, it's not really that unusual anymore
Yeah.
because Uber Eats has go to pin,
Yeah.
and you can just order
No,
whatever
but I
you
want to
want,
see what.
and they'll just go
I want
there,
to see what
and
happens.
they'll leave it, and then
I
they'll
want
leave.
to see what happens if you tell them to put it through the sewer grate.
I am.
Oh, I
I am
want to see if
certain.
they'll do it.
I am certain that Guy Montgomery and Tim Bat genuinely got a pizza delivered underground in New York.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I am certain.
I
they
remember
did
that.
Yeah. They rented a portion of the New York sewer to watch the Sex and the City movie over the course of a week. They
Wow.
got a pizza delivered to the sewers.
Fair.
Shout out Guy Montgomery, needs the views.
Yeah, well, you can check out that is the worst idea of all time TV pilot, right? Which is
Yeah.
available on YouTube.
Yeah, it's fucking rules.
It's very good shit.
Glad we're plugging something completely disconnected.
What else would you like to plug, guys?
It's in a
Yeah.
sewer.
Yeah.
We ruined our Domino sponsor, so yeah,
That's
fuck it.
true.
We'll just
Just
toss
stop
the net back
plugging
out.
everything and
I also
anything.
watch Binging with Babish.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Pretty
Yeah,
much
it's
great.
He
Very
makes
good.
one of the pizzas from Ninja Turtles. That's probably relevant.
nice.